One of the best pieces of advice I've ever been told is from a very sweet mentor of mine, Ellie Gravett, but who's also an incredible queer filmmaker. But whenever I told her, I was like, I'm scared. I feel like I'm not going to be able to create any to be a part of the conversation in theater the way that I want because I did not grow up with the amount of money that it's going to take to actually get that done. And there's no more funding. And like, what am I going to do? And, do I want to return to my roots of filmmaking? Like, I feel like that's even more expensive. And she was like, Allie, like, the best thing you can do as an artist, as a filmmaker, is make bad art. And she was like, go and write a stupid 5 minute short
Yes.
in location and go make it on your iPhone and teach yourself how to edit, teach yourself how to color, teach yourself how to make the sound better on your next one, teach yourself how to light this scene better on the next one. Like just keep making bad art. And if it's bad, love it anyway. Like it's okay.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Did y'all see that? What?
Let's just throw Scream 6 in there for like it was
Good.
movie. It was really good. The best of the franchise, in my opinion, since the first one.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Holy moly, man. It is, of course, myself, J. Logan Austin, aka J-Lo Fantastic, and I am accompanied by my co-host slash father-in-law, the one, the only, Dustin M. Bergman, aka The Mouth.
Yes. What's up?
Man, oh man, it's gonna be a great freaking show. Everything MCU and that freaking huge stunt that they pulled this past week
No doubt.
when it comes to social media with casting announcements. And rumor has it there could potentially be more, but we're gonna be going over all of the current casting announcements so far. But man, oh man, we're super excited about it. But before we jump in, we gotta put a halt because we
Yes.
want you, the rest of the world who is listening to this podcast, please be sure to leave a rating on the podcast, comment below, and let us know what you actually think about ITCAFpodcast. Because if you didn't know, leaving a rating on this podcast actually helps the show get seen by more people who enjoy entertainment news, but especially those who are trying to break into the entertainment industry. Ourselves here at Crazy Ant Media are all about lending the helping hand, and that's why it was a perfect freaking addition to have Ginnie and Ally on the show for this
Yes.
week's interview. So we're very excited about that. But man, oh man, like I said, we're going to be talking all about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and television universe that's doing some amazing things right now. But before we get into that, of course, be sure to head over to our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone. Please head over there and do what you can to support us. And we really appreciate it. That's for sure. But then, of course, like we've been talking about, let's dive into the MCU because, oh my goodness, guys. Not only did we get a huge casting announcement this past week on all social media platforms when it comes to Marvel Studios,
Yeah.
but Daredevil Born Again is freaking doing some amazing things. They dropped 2 recent episodes this past week, and we're going to be talking all about what that means for Daredevil moving forward. We already know they're going out with season 2, or coming
Yep.
back with season 2, and so much other stuff, man. But I mean, let's dive into Avengers Doomsday first. Man, this was very like, for everybody, all the layman's people, everybody who follows Marvel, who is a Marvel fanatic, this was very surprising, I guess you could say. They're very quick when they come to their announcements. I feel like, it was either Monday or Tuesday, they were like, hey, Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have some big casting announcements. And then freaking 5.5 hours later,
Yeah.
everybody's talking about the MCU, right?
Yeah. And everything in the past, right? For as long as the MCU has been around, right? They've been doing this thing where it was either at CinemaCon or D23 or Comic-Con where, they make this big event, they roll them out onto stage and they do this but for the past couple of films, they're changing it up a little bit, right? Everybody was like, oh, this is new. This is kind of... But no, if you saw the announcement for the first trailer for the Fantastic Four, was also a live event on all of their social media that ran for several hours before Pedro and the gang came out to debut the trailer live at a NASA facility. So, and here we are again, another live event. I know that it didn't go over well with some people, but I like that they're taking chances. I mean, after 15 years, right? Like, you got to change it up a little bit. And I like that they're taking chances with how they're making the reveals now. And this was different. I mean, I don't know how many people could sit for 5.5 hours and wait every 10 minutes for a chair, but I was in, man. I liked it. I found myself doing the other things that I needed to do while it was on. The music ramped up whenever there was a new chair coming. So, yeah, I don't know. I loved it, man. I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean, people are still very interested in Marvel and what they are doing next, because across all social media platforms, it clocked in about 275 million views on Marvel Studios platforms, like I said. And that's an all-time record for Marvel in their live stream. And like I said earlier, it was about 5.5 hours. And I was doing the same thing, too, where I was just editing podcast videos, editing social media clips, trying to have our normal day routine, but then also having the phone in the corner and just waiting, because every once in a while you would hear footsteps, somebody walking up to the camera, or you would hear the music like you were talking about. But it was very interesting because it's something different that we've never really seen like that before when it comes to like casting announcements and things like that. And Marvel is just so ahead of everyone else, okay, when it comes to huge, big budgeted franchises, because obviously there's still that interest. You know, we have multiple shows where we're always questioning whether or not the superhero fatigue is a real thing. And I say yes, but I also say no at the same time, because people are still there, man. They're still there ready to hear the next big casting announcements. Obviously, we already know that RDJ is going to be playing the central antagonist, Victor Von Doom, but we're going to be telling you about these other casting announcements that were made on this freaking epic live event. And we have, of course, Chris Hemsworth coming back as Thor.
Yep. Anthony Mackie is Captain America. And we should say, we're not going to give you, because there was like 30 of them. We'll give you the notable ones, and then maybe we'll post later on our social medias, like all of them. But let's give you some big notables that most people were talking about. Like you said, Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Anthony Mackie is Captain America.
Paul Rudd coming back as Ant-Man, of course.
Yep. Letitia Wright as Black Panther.
Tom Hiddleston as Loki. This really got a lot of people excited.
It did. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova. There was a lot of Thunderbolts announced in this cast. A lot of them.
A lot of another team, too, that's for sure. But we're also going to be seeing Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, as Mr. Fantastic. Hey, I had that trademarked. But yes, we're very excited about that one.
And, of course, can you have Reed without his beloved Sue? Vanessa Kirby as, of course, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman.
That's right. And then Eben Moss-Baratheon as Ben Grimm the Thing, coming in to smash some stuff.
Yes, and then, of course, we finished the quartet with Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, Sue's brother, a.k.a. the Human Torch, and Namor. Namor's coming back. And that's important, because if you're a comic book geek, you know there's a little something that every once in a while happens between Namor and Sue, and Reed don't like it. So is this going to be setting that up? The leaked concept art certainly looked that way. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, and it's also interesting, too, because if y'all don't remember, he was also a part of the Me Too movement and had some sexual assault allegations come out against him. So do we know anything else about that? So, yeah, we'll do some deep diving in more into that. But it seems like Marvel is trying to move past it. But some other exciting casting announcements, which I'm honestly kind of worried about because of their age, but it's really freaking awesome that they are coming back. And we're talking about Patrick Stewart as Professor X coming back.
Yes, and can you have Professor X without Magneto? No, you can't. So Ian McKellen is also coming back as Magneto. Let's be honest about it. almost all of the original X-Men from the 20th Century Fox original X-Men movies were announced in this casting announcement, except for Halle Berry, Storm. We didn't see her. Obviously, we didn't see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, so but I'm betting. And if correct me if I'm wrong. No, we did see Femke Janssen. So it's just Storm and Wolvie that we didn't see. Beast was part of it. Carol Danvers is part of it. So who knows? I don't know. Are all the X-Men going to be there? Halle? Hugh? I don't know.
It's like, listen, man, we gotta know. We gotta know. Just like we also have to know there's some notable freaking absentees on this ballot that they announced. And we're talking about Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Hawkeye, leading to fan speculation about their involvement. We don't know. Marvel did say, though, we should point this out. Marvel did say they have more casting announcements that they do want to announce. This is just the first round.
Yeah.
Just the first round. So we're very, very, very excited to see where they go from here. And it's going to be huge, man. It's going to be freaking huge. And this is the first time I'm actually coming to grips with the fact that what if it does break that $357 million in its opening weekend? That would be absolutely wild.
I think it's absolutely possible. And I wouldn't freak out too much about these notably absent because they did have the leaked, concept art. And Marvel did have to confirm that was real. And as you saw, Doctor Strange was there as Sheriff Strange, so, and Hawkeye was there. And so I think those are going to be on the back end of the announcements, and they're probably closer to the leading into Secret Wars. They might be just brief cameos at the end of Doomsday leading into Secret Wars. So that's probably why these have been held off for a little bit. That would be my guess. But what I'm really excited about is that, these hit or misses that we've had over the past couple of years, this is specifically, it was just filler phases. The Russo brothers have made this clear that while Endgame and Infinity War were the definitive end to the initial beginning of the MCU, this is the official start to the rest of the MCU. And as you guys know, if you're familiar with Doomsday and the Secret Wars storylines, the multiverse is going away. This is where they're all going to converge. It's all going to end up as one Earth, and whatever heroes, villains, sidekicks, etc. survive all of this, those are going to be the people moving forward in the MCU on this one Earth. That is what they are setting up. It is a definitive, hardcore the rumor is 60 plus people in Doomsday, which I would assume most would carry over into Secret Wars, because if you're a fan of Secret Wars, every single Marvel character in existence was in Secret Wars. Both versions of it. My version way back when I was a young guy, and the newer version, the more current version, of which they seem to be leaning into that storyline. Every Marvel hero. So I'm guessing that the rumor of 60 people, probably accurate. Which, I don't even know how the Russos do it. I mean, shit.
Yeah, it is absolutely wild, man. But we do know that they are here for the big scope of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
They are here to tell these big stories, and that's very freaking exciting. Well, let's get more street level, okay? Let's talk about Daredevil Born Again. Of course, this is the revisitation, MCU's version of freaking Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox's version of Daredevil.
Yes.
And of course, as of March 28th, the day of this recording of 2025, Daredevil Born Again has released 6 episodes on Disney Plus, garnering very positive reviews, which is very nice to see, because some Disney Plus stuff, especially with the cult followings like Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, anything like that, they're very wishy-washy when it comes to the reviews. Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, it holds an 87 approval rating, so that's really awesome, with an average score about 7.65 out of 10, indicating that the general favorable reviews. So that is very freaking exciting, and it's been a great story so far.
Oh yeah,
I've yet to catch up on these last 2 episodes, but so far I was a little timid at first, but now, like, they're doing the right thing. I'm glad they went back and did all the rewrites and the reshoots and things like that, because they are definitely doing the right thing.
And that's where I was because if you guys remember the first initial couple episodes on Rotten Tomatoes, they were rotten. People were freaking out, and this is a huge rebound. I think it's going to go higher as the next couple episodes come out. But you had to go into it. I think too many people went into it with the expectation that it was immediately going to be to the level of the Netflix series. But if you had followed along our show or any show that covers the Marvel Universe, you know that they were halfway through production and decided to scrap it, start over, and make it a continuation. The problem with that is that they had shot so much stuff that they were strapped with some of that footage. They couldn't afford to just throw it away. So those first couple episodes were primarily footage from the scrapped shit that they were kind of saddled with, which is why after those first 2 episodes, you are seeing the transition into, oh shit, there's the one we wanted. Because that was the process of the revamp into the continuation of what everybody wanted in the first place. I am loving the storyline that they are going with the masks of these 2 characters. Kevin Conroy once compared it to how he approaches Batman, with the way that he always believed that Bruce Wayne was the mask and Batman is who he really was. This take on Daredevil and Kingpin seems to be that route. We're seeing a lot of Mayor Fisk and Matt Murdock, right? But we're getting hints that they're fighting to control who they really are. And these past 2 episodes, it really started to, no, these are who we want to be, but here's who we really are. And the way they're doing them side by side in these episodes, paralleling each other's movement towards who they really are, brilliant. I love how they're doing it. And I mean, they're dropping everything. They're setting up so much stuff, y'all. The Easter eggs have been Miles Morales, the West Coast Avengers, Miss Marvel, White Tiger. Like, there's so much stuff that they are setting up so briefly in just 6 episodes. It's insane. Luke Cage, I'm loving it. I am loving it.
Yeah, it's really freaking awesome to see. And we do know that season 2 is underway as well, planned for an early to mid 2026 release. So
yes,
that's honestly not that far away, which is very freaking exciting. And then, of course, there has been some recent developments, including leaked images from season 2 set revealing Daredevil in a black suit adorned with the iconic, the double D emblem on his chest. And the costume, of course, plays homage to various different comic storylines, including Charlie Soule's run as Matt Murdock, who, when he confronts Wilson Fisk's mayoral ambitions. So, I mean, we all know that Marvel loves bringing different aspects of different storylines and not particularly going after one storyline that's in a comic book. And I think what they're doing right now is amazing, to be honest. Everything that I've seen so far from Daredevil, like I said, timid at first, but now very on board, I think has been awesome. And you are getting, like, they really did a great job with Thanos, and it kind of led into a little bit with Wilson Fisk, because he is a bad guy, but it's a bad guy that you're also kind of rooting for, because he's like trying to change himself, but also kind of still shady and trying to, you know, capitalize on all of these different ventures in his life and trying to save his marriage while she's also still doing shady shit and cheating. And spoiler alert, marriage counseling. I love the marriage counseling.
Oh, without doubt.
That's absolutely hilarious. But I'm loving everything that I'm seeing on the ground level. Now I'm ready for either like a Spider-Man to pop into Daredevil, or we want Daredevil to pop into an Avengers film. But I'm ready for the crossover. Okay, I'm ready for a big crossover like that.
I think it's happening. They're certainly setting up Spider-Man. Whether it's going to be Miles Morales or Peter Parker, we don't know. But they're certainly setting that up. And they, like I said, have clearly hinted at the Defenders, because they've dropped references to both Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. So that's got to be coming as well. But yeah, Kingpin is he's what you want in a villain. He is a bad guy, but he believes that what he's doing is right. So you feel for him. He's a guy who you don't want, he's doing bad things, but he thinks he's doing them for the right reason. And that's always the villain that you kind of want to have. And I even like, because I just want to talk about the black suit for a minute, the Shadowland suit. They're even giving it a unique spin. It looks almost like he painted over his red suit instead of it being just a black suit, because there's hints of red still in it, and the DD is clearly painted on. So I don't know if this is something he just covered up and he decided to do it, kind of a thing. We know he's fighting Muse. Muse kills his people and then paints murals with their blood. Maybe it's something to do with the blood and Muse, because we know Muse's storyline is going to continue. So, I don't know, but I just love the original take on it. It's not just let's throw him in the black suit and put the logo on it. There's a reason why it's black, must be, and there's a reason why he painted the DD. So I love that. I'm all in, I think. And showrunners are saying, to wrap this all up, showrunners are saying that they are hoping this will be an annual series, not just a 2 and done. So I'm guessing based on the success that it's seeing, probably.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed, because they're absolutely killing it. I honestly put this show over WandaVision now. Like, I think it's my favorite Marvel show that's come out on Disney Plus so far. But yes, we're super excited about everything coming out of the MCU. They definitely look like they are back in action, doing what they do best. So we love to see that as comic book fans. Now it is time for a great interview with Allison and Ginny, two New York City filmmakers doing amazing things, and they have some amazing connections to the South. So we had to freaking talk about that a little bit. But I'm super excited about this because two up-and-coming filmmakers like this who have that drive and that energy, I feel like they can get it done.
Yeah, they're bold, they're unique. It was almost like looking in a mirror, but female versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Their approach and the way they go at things, and they're not scared to take risks, and they have a mission of what they're trying to do in the film community and trying to help others as they do it. And anytime we come across people like that, we have to talk to them. So I'm really excited for everybody to hear this interview.
That's right. Well, here they are.
Ginnie and Ally, welcome inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you guys?
Hi. How's it going?
We're well. How are y'all?
Going well. Living the dream as always. And we are super excited to talk to fellow filmmakers who are also living the dream, and like-minded filmmakers whose goals seem pretty much in line with what we're trying to do also. So we always love finding people like that, bringing them on the show. So yeah, we're excited, and you guys got some good stuff going on that we're going to dive into, and I can't wait to hear about them, because I definitely have a couple questions. I know Logan does. We were just talking about it. We're like, So we're going to dive into that. But how we like to start this off, just in case anybody out there is not familiar with your guys' work or how you got all into it and everything. How did you get into it? Did you guys know from an early age you always wanted to be filmmakers or storytellers or creators? Did you kind of fall into it? What?
Such a great question. I have always wanted to make movies and stuff, which is kind of like it's always been such a faraway dream for me. And I kind of got my start in acting and things. I went to theater school and kind of exclusively did the stage for a really long time.
Yep.
And that's kind of the part of my story that I married with Ginny. We met in acting school in my post-grad in 2016. Ginny, however, is an incredible writer and wrote a series of short stories all through the pandemic that we now have since been trying to turn into a series of short films. So I've been directing since 2020 and exclusively in film since 2021.
Yeah, we met, as she was saying, in acting school, at Atlantic Acting School in New York. And I think both of us with our background, I also have a massive background in theater and have been working. I started as an actor in theater about, nearly a decade ago, and living in the city. And we've had this approach for a long time with theater of wanting to make art and make theater and art in general that was the art we wanted to see.
Yes.
Specifically in theater that has become so regurgitated in a way, so commercial, where we're losing sense of the politically driven, emotionally driven, collective, collaborative art that we love to see, that inspires us. And so we had a theater company that we started around 2018, and that sense is kind of unfazed. And we found that theater was not allowing us to propel in the way that we really wanted to. And then this kind of film breakthrough kind of happened with my stories, and I wanted just to make them. And I graduated from Columbia University in 2023. And I was like, I have been doing all the academic stuff. I've written my thesis. I've done my stories. Let's do something with them, and let's just find the people, and let's just find the materials. And as long as we have the gear, and as long as we have the group, we're ready to roll. And so very like guerrilla style, very grassroots of our first film, Tsundoku. But we found just the perfect people and the kismet of our incredible director of photography, Miles Kaba, and then continued following down that line and finding the right people in that way, which has been a wonderful, flourishing world. We really have found our groove in film, and now allowing us to meet wonderful folks like y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it's all a part of the experience, right? Learning, growing, and moving forward. And we're all about starting conversations and lending the helping hand, just like how I know y'all are as well. Just being able to help up and comer filmmakers or creatives just in general be able to figure out how to get started, because that's sometimes the most like difficult thing, just getting started, putting the pen to paper, picking up a camera, or just having a narrative in your head that you want to get out there to the world. I think that's very interesting. So let's talk about the differences, because you brought up the political differences in theater and film. So like, do you feel like when you were in theater, was it much more difficult to try to get people to agree to help you make theatrical productions, or do you feel like film was an easier outlet to try to get your voice heard, or how was that?
I think there's some like logistical things to acknowledge in what it was like, what it's been like for theater for the last 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the National Endowment of the Arts was taken away
Mhm.
during the first Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get like super far into it, but taking away funding from the arts inherently revokes like culture and discussion from communities,
Yeah.
particularly in underserved communities and underrepresented communities. So on the one hand, you started to see like this decline in mainstream theater, Broadway, anything that gets televised at the Tonys. It's already like it's an inaccessible art in that if you don't have money to make it and you can't get it out to a television audience of 1 million trillion people, then you may never be seen or known at all. Especially because, I got my start in community theater in Charleston, South Carolina, and there was such a beautiful, beautiful, thriving arts community there that is dwindling because the hub of it all is trying to be more shopping and restaurant centric as opposed to creating a community and storytelling culture. So as their funding in the arts got taken away, you saw a huge decline in new and risky storytelling. And those are the types of risks and the type of stories that brought us Hamilton, that brought us Wicked, that brought us Rent, that brought us, so many incredible stories written by people of color, queer people, things like that. Now here we are in 2025, and you see A, B, and C movie from the 80s on Broadway, or you see you see like Tootsie the musical, you see Mrs. Doubtfire the musical, Beetlejuice the musical, Mean Girls the musical, and it became Mean Girls the musical, the movie, the musical, the movie. And
Literally,
so
yeah.
it's just regurgitated, as Jenny said. And
Yeah.
for the both of us in particular, that really inspired us. On the one hand, a good friend of ours, nice old friend, brought us a book called How to Fight Tyranny on Tyranny. It's a very small book, and it's all about how fascist power comes to rise
Mhm.
In governments and things. And so the first and foremost thing is that you take away education funding and
Yeah.
getting education out to these smaller communities. And that automatically takes away discussion, it takes away thought, critical thinking, all the things that bring you to the arts and things that the arts promote. So when we did start our theater company in 2018, it was all in rooted in education, and it was
Mhm.
all rooted in telling new stories, and ideally promoted by um, non-white, non-hetero voices.
Yes.
Um, as that drove us, I think it's an important story to tell because as we got together with a group of artists that were diverse and passionate and inspirational. We were just beaten down constantly and shamed constantly and outvoted and just constantly put down because we were trying to do new risky things instead of yet another version of
Yeah.
Hamlet.
So
Yeah,
spaces
literally.
allow us, like the theater, the difference I feel like between the theater world and the film world is like you have to have the space and then you have to bring
Right.
people for this
Yeah.
live, quick, in the moment event, which is the magic of theater, which I absolutely adore. But in the world of 2025, it's much, much harder to really get people to get there, and people won't be incentivized to go unless they know the established IP.
Right.
And then investors won't do that either, which we deal with in the film world as well. But like the space was harder and harder. So then we took the ethos, I feel like, of what we were trying to do in theater.
We decided to make it more accessible.
Right.
Which, how do you get a larger audience? I think ideally is utilizing these like free and accessible platforms. So
Right.
we made a decision to start with our own films and start with our own stories, but bring in new and incredible artists that are coming to the scene, are trying to have a career pivot, just seeking to create and to create with risk and to create unabashedly. And so we decided to start Be Fucking Nice Productions. And
Yes.
Be Fucking Nice is all about like incredibly original storytelling. It's not one genre, it's not one voice, it's not just Ginny, it's not just me. It's as many people as we can lift up and use our platform as, cisgendered white ladies to help amplify those voices. And so once these two films that we've created so far and soon to be three, once we kind of gather some funds from the festival circuit, ideally, or at least get our name out there a little,
Yeah. Yeah.
we want to self-publish as much as possible and ideally for a really subsidized amount, if not free on like YouTube, things like that. Because the more art that you can create, the more art then is created and is inspired other people. I mean, I remember like back whenever Netflix first started, like I was 16 and I would binge watch just every indie film on there, and it was
Right.
all time. I mean, gosh, that was like $5 a month. Like,
Well,
that's nothing.
so much to unpack there. One, I think that the idea that you recognize that there's an issue, right? Because I mean, we're conditioned now because of the current state. They don't want you to recognize there's an issue. They want you to think everything is fine and everything is the way it's supposed to be. And they want to control you, and they don't want you to have a free voice to say what you want to say or tell the stories that you want to say. So recognizing that there is a problem and then being brave enough and bold enough to jump at it and say, well, we're going to be authentic and true to who we are, and we're going to come at it, and we're going to attempt to tell our stories anyway. I think that that's huge because we need more people like that. The fact that you guys are opening it up and trying to expand it beyond just what you're doing, but lifting others to give them a platform and a voice, because we need that as well. You're not wrong with what you were saying about, and I think this has a lot to do with the collapse of the theater system and the film industry for a little bit, where now everybody's safe. They bank on IP that they know works, right? Hence the reboots, the remakes, the musicals, the over and over and over same stuff. But I hope that they're starting to see that that's potentially backfiring, because there are people that want original stories, and they're tired of seeing the safe story told over and over and over and over and over, right? We don't need, Mean Girls 74. We don't need it, right? We need fresh storytelling. So I like the approach that you guys are taking there. I think it's bold. I think it's necessary. I also love everything that you were saying about, because I think that art has to represent, when it's done properly, people. Right? We're not all the same. We're just not. So if you're only putting out art that targets a specific type of story, you're not being authentic to the representation of what life really is, what the world really is. You need stories that show reality of what people really are. Different types, different genders, different paths, different backgrounds, monetarily, economic, social. Like, you need those stories, because in order for anything to work, I think, in the arts, the audience has to be able to connect, and they have to be able to see themselves in it. And if you're putting out stuff that's not realistic to what the world really is, there's a whole block of people that aren't seeing themselves in that story and can't connect, right?
Well, also, it's like, further to like piggyback, jump off a cliff and fly into the sky with you about it. Like, you have to have stories about people that are individuals.
Yes.
It's not about, like, I am a queer artist and a writer. I'm a queer woman. And like, but the way that I identify as a gay woman, and the way that I tell those stories, and the stories that we've made with Tsundoku and Lottie, that while they are fantasy, are very rooted in my experiences,
right,
are very individual to that. But the more specialized I get in that, every time I have seen how universal that is, how someone who's completely different from me gathered that tiny little moment of how Ally shot that one shot, and they're like, that gesture, that specificity becomes that universal moment. And I think that's what we really try to strike at Be Fucking Nice, is how we want to see our stories be told from that super hyper specialized demographic of like the people, which is sick and really fun.
Yeah, no doubt.
I love seeing that in the stuff that I watch and the stuff that I read. I want it to be like so specific of what soda you're drinking, how that tastes, like, because then I'm there, and I feel seen. I want people to feel seen in the way that I feel seen by the art I love.
Yep.
I think on the one hand, it's really important for like me to, yes, like make people feel seen. Like, representation matters though, because of whenever someone who doesn't share that experience can empathize, and what that can actually promote in community and culture, and representation then is fought for. And the more we can come to an understanding about each other's lived experiences, the more I believe we can improve as a society. And that's something I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Oof, completely agree. We are cooking now. Oh my goodness, we're feeling good. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
That feels great. Just to be able to think about all of these different outcomes, because we always say the best form of education is through entertainment, just so that you're not sitting down, all right, let's sit down and have this conversation about suicide. Let's sit down and have this conversation about the border crisis, whatever. Like, we are watching something that starts conversation, that is engaging, to where we can continue walking out of that theater, that Cineplex, walking out of the living room, whatever, and we're having conversations. And I feel like that's what you're doing. That's what I feel like we're doing. And that's what I feel like a good amount of young filmmakers are trying to do. But sadly, like we've been talking about, the studio system being so in that niche of blockbusters, in that niche of mass appeal, because we saw a couple weeks ago, for this recording, that Novocaine, which seemed like a completely different new idea that I haven't seen before in my lifetime, it didn't do that well at the box office. So, it's that type of stuff where you're like, you want new stories so bad, but then like it doesn't get pushed enough, because I felt like if that had a nice TikTok following, I felt like that could have went somewhere nice. But I'm very curious, because going through doing research on both of you, you all are freaking awesome individuals, first off. But obviously these were written in the pandemic time, so I'm sure that had a lot to deal with, your mental health and trying to have an outlet for your built up. I mean, we have anxiety, so I'm sure y'all were having anxiety during all of that. So do you feel like writing these stories was a way to get all of this anguish, this anxiety out of you during that time?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. The short answer. Long answer is it's funny you're mentioning this 'cause I've been rethinking about how I wrote these stories as I'm working on a solo show that we're doing as a fundraiser next month, where I'm going to be talking about my life and my stories. It's for my birthday.
There you
Nice.
go.
We're going to have a big little slumber party up in Harlem and have a little party and kind of really dig into what we're talking about here, this like hyper individual, the hyper personal,
Hell yeah.
vulnerable, completely unzipping myself and showing you my guts, and we all get
Yeah.
to like parse through it together. I'm like, it's so bloody, it's so good. I feel that way too. I got that lodged in my colon too, and I'm like, I know. Um, sorry, but it gets
That's
gory.
rough horror.
Can you
Love
tell
it.
I'm horror? But when I wrote Lottie specifically, and I also wrote Tundoku, I was in a relationship in COVID that was hyper isolated and was quite abusive. And at the time, I didn't realize that. And I was writing these stories that have themes of those themes of domestic abuse and substance abuse and depression, suicide, and self-harm through body issues and eating disorders, um, which were all massive themes of my life, but were so normalized because we were all so isolated.
Right.
And you are in love as well, and you're young. I was in my early 20s, and I was completely on the other side of the country in a different state that I had never been in before. And I felt like this was home. And so I was writing these stories as a fantasy, a way to unlock like my rage I was feeling and all this stuff. And I was just like having fun. And then in retrospect, I looked back at those stories, and after I left this abusive relationship, after I found myself in a different way, I refound myself, and we were filming Lottie and we were filming Tundoku. And in one of them, I'm acting in them. The other one I just produced. And living those stories again and seeing them through the eyes of our DP, through our AD, through our actors, and them coming up to me individually and being like, I've been there. And then I was looking back at it and I was like, I was there. This wasn't fantasy. And I think, like you said, that is the best form of education, even if you like don't realize it yet.
Yeah.
You're able to find yourself back again. And then what's really cool as the writer is like I get to relive it in different ways. These stories are in their beautiful medium of prose that I have, like one of them is published, and I hope to publish more of them. But then we got to adapt it as a family, as a community, into a film format, which is another really important part of this gorgeous art form of cinema. Is it's like we have to make movies for this medium, and we
Yeah.
have to make those stories in that way. And so then this story gets to live on in this new way post COVID. Like people aren't going to know that Lottie and Tundoku were written in like 2020, 2021. They're going to be watching it in 2025.
Timeless. Yep.
Right. Right.
How do we get to have that balance? And I think that's a beautiful thing to have that touchstone each time for myself on a personal level, but also for Ally when she read it, and then for more people to read it and consume it.
Well, and
through
that's
different-
the beauty of art, right? Like you said, you were looking at it through a totally different set of eyes from when you were writing it, and then from
Right.
a different set of eyes from when you were living it. That's the beauty of art. It's interpretive, and what you see this year might not be what you see in that same exact film next year, right? Even
Oh my gosh,
creators,
yeah.
even as creators, we put it out into the world, and maybe we even see it differently 4 years from now. It's like, whoa, that's not what I thought I wrote, but there it is,
Right.
So I love that. I love that, and what a beautiful story to hear that you were able to, come to your truth about what the relationship was through the process of writing it and going, and being able to just get it out there. Because sometimes I think that's the other thing about art and what we do sometimes it's a therapy session. You don't even realize it's a therapy session, right? You're putting this, and then all of a sudden it's there stark in front of you in a way that you couldn't see it before you wrote it or before you filmed it. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So yeah, I love just everything that you guys, your whole approach about everything and the way you go at it. The other thing I want to bring up is because, like you said, I kind of want to touch on this because there are mediums now, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that have stories to tell that are scared because they think they need a big budget or they think they need a studio lot or a sound stage. And it's like, no, pick up your phone and shoot. If you're a filmmaker, make a film. And like you said at the very beginning of this thing, find your people. Find that group of people that support your vision, that see your vision, who think what you think, the way that you think, and you'd be surprised what passion and heart and a little, oomph will get you if you're all on the same page and you're telling a story. So I love that you brought that up early in the interview because I think it's so crucial for anybody out there aspiring to be a filmmaker or tell a story. You don't need that. You just literally find your people, pick up whatever you have. If it's your iPhone or that old dusty 8mm, whatever you have, and shoot a film. Tell your story. And then,
she says that sorry to interrupt, like you are speaking her language.
No,
and I feel
absolutely.
one of my biggest inspirations and inspirational people is Issa Rae, and like her her videos on YouTube eventually like got picked up by Max, right? And then she created Insecure, which I think is one of the most like revolutionary like sitcom dramedy TV shows of our era that completely changed the game for cinematography and lighting of people of color, of having sex be talked about in a certain way, all these different things. But Ally, I want you to that is so similar to what we talk about all the time. She says that all the time.
One of the best pieces of advice I've ever been told is from a very sweet mentor of mine, Ellie Gravett, but who's also an incredible queer filmmaker. But whenever I told her, I was like, I'm scared. I feel like I'm not going to be able to to be a part of the conversation in theater the way that I want, because I did not grow up with the amount of money that it's going to take to actually get that done. And there's no more funding. And like, what am I going to do? And, do I want to return to my roots of filmmaking? Like, I feel like that's even more expensive. And she was like, Ally, like the best thing you can do as an artist, as a filmmaker, is make bad art. And she was like, go and write a stupid 5-minute short in location and go make it on your iPhone and teach yourself how to edit, teach yourself how to color, teach yourself how to make the sound better on your next one, teach yourself how to light this scene better on the next one. Like, just keep making bad art. And if it's bad, love it anyway. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think the more, we shot Sundoku completely self-funded and with some incredibly adventurous people, like Jenny mentioned, Miles Kaba, Alex Sharon, like so many incredible artists worked on that film with us just because they love Ginny and the story.
Right.
Including Cleopatra Boudreau, who is one of our sweet mutuals. I love her so much.
Yes.
And we learned so much from that. And we were able to like literally write out a list of like, okay, like this is why we couldn't get this angle, and this is why we couldn't get this light, and this is why da 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 da. And we were like, how can we take these experiences and bring them into Lottie? And now we've gone and done Lottie, which, oh my God, was above and beyond the biggest, most beautiful thing I've ever done in my life. And now here we are, we're headed towards Mochi, which is going to be our third film together. And we have so many experiences to take from that. And if I didn't just go out there and do it, I would have never had the knowledge that I have now. And just trying it all is making me a better artist, a better filmmaker with every project that I get to put my name on.
Yes.
And honestly, that being said, I don't direct every single thing that I put my name on. I've been a PA on countless films. And in every single time I put myself on set, in an unpaid way or in a, the non-glamorous roles, like you learn so much more. And if there's any piece of advice I can give to a director or an aspiring filmmaker at all, it is absolutely go take those non-glamorous roles.
Yes.
And stop acting like you are the biggest, baddest guy on set, because that is ruining your art.
No, the key is get on a set. It doesn't matter. It's always a learn. I say this to people all the time. talent, yeah, people have talent, but it's also a skill. And skills get better the more you do it. And it doesn't matter whether it's your film, someone else's film, whether you're a PA, whether you're in the director's chair. The more you're doing, the more you're learning, the more you bring to your next one. That's what it's all about. And you can't have an ego get in the way of that, because your career will end real fast if you let that stop you from doing what you want to do, right? And I love too that you said, because everybody's first film is bad. Come on, that's just you think, you look at Oppenheimer, and then you go back and you look at Christopher Nolan's very first film, which is like a short, which is not great, but you know, but he's considered one of the greatest filmmakers of our generation. But you go watch that very first short, and you're going, huh? And that's the whole beauty of it, right? That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Make that film. Make
Yes.
that 5 minutes, that little pilot concept, make that scene, just a scene. If it's two people, like whatever it is, like, and don't hurt yourself. If you have an idea that's going to be, 20 locations and, 15 different times of day and times of year, like, I get it. Maybe save her for later, but just write something that isn't, and like learn from it. I think it's really important, and I think it really helps you grow as an artist to make anything. And also the sense of pride that comes with accomplishing a story it's invaluable. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, we've been talking about guerrilla filmmaking, indie filmmaking, be able to wear different hats at multiple different times, trying to balance a little bit of everything at once can be very difficult. So do y'all have like a particular role that is your least favorite? Because I know mine. We're indie filmmakers ourselves. My favorite is screenwriting and cinematography. I hate producing. I am not a fan of producing at all. Like that, I don't want to work with numbers. I'll go location scout. That shit's cool. But I do not want to work with numbers. I do not want to budget. But yeah, I'm curious about y'all.
Yeah. I learned that because my approach to I took a lot of my life has been very unorthodox and timelining, and my filmmaking experience, I, for better or for worse, decided to dive into the deep end.
Yeah.
Without having the past experience like Ali has had of being a PA on a bajillion sets. And I had been talent on a bajillion sets for years and years and years since I was like 10 years old. But being talent, obviously, on a film or a commercial or a TV set is a completely different cloistered world than working on the other side. And we work as indie filmmakers, we literally say our hats are different.
Yep.
Like I'll be like, okay, so this meeting, I'm literally taking off my metaphorical, actual physical hat that's a producer hat. I'm putting on my actor hat. Then I'm putting on my screenwriter hat.
Yep.
But I completely agree with you. The producing is really hard, especially when it's your creative work.
Yeah.
As I've worked as a producer on other people's sets, that's been really fun because I'm like outside of the world of that. So I'm just like the event planner, and I'm just here to help make the story happen. I'm here to fight fires. But when it's my writing, I don't want to be like, but that's me, right? And so that was definitely the hardest one. It's a hard pill to swallow. And when we were working on Lottie, that was a big learning curve. I learned a lot about myself on that set. And it made me much stronger and ready to approach Mochi in a different capacity.
Because it's crushing when you're the producer, but it's your art, because when that decision has to be made, like, that's not happening. Even though you want it to have, you know,
like
it's
killing
crushing.
your darlings, and it's like your darling.
Yeah,
you're
it's, but understanding where your strengths and weaknesses are, what you excel at and what you don't, right? Because as a team, I'm sure you guys have it. We have it. We know when we walk in a room, we know which one of us is going to handle what we're going to handle, because we know where we excel at. And so we're able to balance really well, and I know that if he walks off this way and he's talking about this, and I'm walking off this way and I'm talking about this, we don't have to worry about what's being said or what's being done, because we know it's going to be beneficial for the film, because we trust in each other's strengths and we build each other's off of each other's weaknesses. So and it's like that on set too. We take that approach as suits, but even more so as creatives. We know where we excel on set in the creative roles as well. And
Right.
so we find that nice balance. And I think it's critical. I just keep going back to what you say at the top of the interview about finding your people, right? Because it really, no matter how talented you are, no matter how much skill you have, you've got to surround yourself with the right people in order to be successful, right? If people don't understand you, they don't get your vision, they can't support your weakness and carry your strength, you're not going to succeed. And so I think it's critical to find that and be able to move forward that way. It certainly seems like you guys have. And that's a beautiful thing. I can't stress that enough. You can't do it on your own. It's an impossible game to do it on your own. Nobody can do it on their own. And sharing what you know. That's the other thing, which I find a lot of people are still hesitant. It's like, if you learned how to do something because you did something wrong and now you know, what's wrong with passing that on to somebody else so they don't make that mistake? It's critical, I think, to be able to share what you know. That's how we're all going to make it. That's how our stories are going to get told. That's how we're going to change the world, by sharing what we know, right?
I think the importance of, well, I guess the difference and something that we hold very important of what Ginny and I are doing when we create art and how we create our art is being constantly and like never losing sight of being community driven.
Yes.
And that includes giving back to our community. That doesn't just mean creating a community for our own benefits.
Right.
Like Ginny is an incredible writer, and she is so creative and talented. And it's no surprise that we keep finding people who are so jazzed about her story that they will, make sacrifices for their time and day and lives to come and make this film. Like, I'm not surprised by those things at all. However, something that I really think is part of the backbone of Be Fucking Nice as a production company, but also just as a storytelling entity
Yes.
at all, is giving back to community.
Yes.
Is something so important. We have no intention of solely funding only Ginny's films for the rest of our careers. We
Absolutely not.
absolutely have gotten in touch with and made friendships with and started making plans to uplift other artists in so many different ways. Like I said, of course, Ginny's stories, they speak for themselves. And also Ginny's an incredible person. And so a lot of people want to show up for her. We want to be those people to others as well.
Yes.
We want to show up for people and
Yes.
help them, whenever they're feeling down and discouraged, reminding them that the capitalist society that we live in does not want to see you succeed. Let us give you our platform. Let us help you. I have these skills, A, B, and C. Like, how can they help you today? I can budget for you? I can help book those lights for you. I have a friend who owns a house. Let me call her up, see if you can use it as your location. Like, da 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 da. Like, I don't have money to put towards any films. My films, other people's films, but I have plenty of other currency that might be useful to you. How can I still help you create this art? And I think it's really important for a lot of people who do go out and seek, I have to find my people. Yes, you do, but also, give back, constantly give back. Remain in a place of gratitude to the people that come and show up for you. And don't be so above doing the same for them. I think a lot of people, whenever I was being taught as an actor to make connections, it was always about, you never know, they could get you a job. They could get you in front of this person. You never know what these people can give to you and what they can give to you. And I remember along the way just being like, but what can I also give to the people who support me?
That's
why
right.
would I stop there?
Right. Why is it so transactional and or so hierarchical? And I understand that on a set you have to have the hierarchy of the chain of command of communication, but something that is just makes Ally such an incredible director, and her approach as a director and how she leads these sets is magical to watch, is because she leads with such transparency and care. She does not gatekeep anything. She is very honest about what's going on, what she wants to see, where are we at, and making sure that everybody's playing in the sandbox together. It gives people such trust and care, and then they feel strong in themselves so that they can set themselves up best for success. There's
Exactly.
never like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it trickles down and makes every single set that I've ever been on with her a calm, safe, efficient, like a set, which is in compared to other sets I have been on is very, very cool and very, very nice to have.
No doubt.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's crazy because we have so much in common just as team duos. Like, it's absolutely wild. Allie, you never answered. What is your least favorite? I'm very curious because you seem like you do a little bit of everything.
She does.
Yeah, talk about multiple hats. I am kind of a control freak, so I really like to wear as many hats as possible. But also, like Ginny said, I will never shy away from the power of collaboration. That being said, I like to bring my experiences to a lot of different areas of film. I'm very, very fulfilled by a lot of places in the arts. I think the most stressful is definitely producing, but it's where I feel the most productive. So I don't hate that very much. Directing, I think, is exactly where I belong. I love bringing my skill set to directing. You know, I've been a lighting designer before. I've been a writer before. I have been a director. I've been a grip. I've been a PA. I've done it all. So I love being able to at least know all those things and bring it to directing.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think the more skills you can have, the better a director you'll ever be.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I gotta be honest. I love wearing all those hats.
Yeah.
Being a first AD is so fulfilling. I love being able to show up for somebody and have their back. You know, being a producer and knowing that, you know, you can field and think on your feet and problem solve. You know, I'm an older sister, so I'll take on anything you need.
Yeah.
Just let me know what you need.
I think the positive thing about producing too is just like being aware of the entire process. That was
Yes, yeah.
like a
Yeah.
beautiful learning lesson for me was like being there from very inception to the last moment of post. Like
I'll tell you what, post is hard.
Post
It
is
is.
Post is crazy
Post is
hard. Yeah.
really hard, and I don't like it.
Post is
No.
hard and long.
Yes.
And you need more money than you think.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt. It's always, speaking from the producer hat right now, it's always underfunded. People don't understand how important post.
Always.
They want to throw all the money at shooting. I'm like, no.
But then you
need to-
forget that on set, people are like, oh, we'll fix it in post. And I'm like,
Exactly, exactly. And
you
then
gotta
you
have maybe
realize,
like 3 we'll fix it in post coupons on set. And then
Without
once you use up those coupons, you gotta figure it out on set.
yes.
Exactly.
And
Post is
I love that you keep referencing, you know, you've been a PA, you've been a first AD, you've got, you know, same with me, and that's how we try to, you know, guide everybody that's working with us as well, because I always knew that directing was the end goal. That's what I wanted to do. But I also felt like, how can I possibly do that if I don't have an understanding of what everybody does on the set? How can I do? So I went out of my way to, I'm going to be a PA. I'm going to be a grip. I'm going to light this thing. I'm going to shoot this thing. I'm going to build this rig. I'm going to be an AD. Because by no means am I an expert in all that stuff, but I have a knowledge of how it's supposed to work. And that makes me the best director that I can be, right? And I just bring that with me. And then I think the other thing is, and I think you were kind of alluding to this with around it without so much saying it, is listening. Right? I remind everybody out there that a successful set, as a director, you are not just the boss and yelling action. You have to listen to everybody and collaborate with everybody to make sure everything is going on the same page, in the same vision, and that people feel appreciated. They know that their work matters, what they're contributing is a part of the success. They're not just being hollered at to set the light or do, you know, I think it's absolutely critical. And again, it goes back to that ego aspect. If you have an ego that's preventing you from listening to someone who may be able to do something better than you, you're in big trouble. I'm all for it. Like, if you can show me a better way to do it, tell me and let's go for it, you know? So,
I also that.
yeah.
Especially like we have worked with our DP Miles on 2 sets so far, and ideally we just get to keep working with them forever. But I came to them at the very beginning on our first film, and I was like, I don't know everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm so sorry to annoy the piss out of you through this process, but I'm really hoping you can teach me about A, B, and C. And they were like, okay, I will take the time and I will teach. I will take the time and I'll teach you. They have, oh my gosh, and they've been such a big part of my growth in this whole journey. Just about growth and learning from each other, and also like you said, like admitting like, hey, I don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
In order for my film to thrive, I need to learn something today.
Yep. That's
Just
it.
suggest. And I think that also like goes into the power of collaboration, is knowing that this PA, oh my gosh, I had a PA one time like look at me and be like, hey, like, did you know that she had her hair on the other side in that last shot? And I'd be like, oh my God, thank God you told me. Thank God you told someone, because like
Yeah.
still have so much to do for CDs. Like they have so much to do. Like, oh, so we're all here to work together. How
That's
lovely.
right.
What a special thing that everyone on your set is so passionate about the project you're working on that they didn't just sit back and let it happen.
That's right.
They
Yeah, they're not telling you something to be difficult. They're telling you because they want the best possible project as well, right? They want that finished product to be the best possible thing. They want to see your vision come to life. So if they're taking the time to interrupt you and say, hey, that ain't right, maybe we should, they're doing it out of a place of love, a place of, we want your vision to be successful. So if you come at it like, keep your mouth shut, I'm the director, you're in big trouble. That's all I'm saying. You can't come at it like that. You got to listen to people and go, hey, thanks so much for telling me and saying this ain't right. Because when we do get in post, that's going to mean a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny. I love it. I love it. Well, what we like to do to round out the interviews is hit you guys with a few popcorn questions. These are just fun, uplifting questions that, you may not have even ever thought of before. This first one, though, I feel like, y'all's dynamic, it seems very fun, very playful, and very, we can get down and get to business if we need to. But what was the funniest or most memorable moment on one of these sets that y'all participated together?
Funniest.
Oh, there's been so many. I think in our first film, was a really funny thing that happened is our fake cigarettes didn't get there on time.
Oh, no.
So Ginny was like, it's fine, I'm just gonna smoke normal cigarettes. And I was like, I
had quit smoking for years.
Oh
no.
And I was like, I really don't want you to smoke normal cigarettes, Ginny, because we're gonna have to take multiple takes. By the time that we're in, you're gonna have had like 6 cigarettes.
And
she was like,
and it's also like an intense scene.
She was like, it's really gonna be okay. Like, I think I'm really gonna be okay. I was like, if this is all I got, like, okay, whatever. Like, we're losing daylight, like literally. And I was like, okay, we really have to get this shot. So we start recording, and I was like, please don't inhale. Just do me a favor, don't inhale. She's like, I'll be fine. I won't inhale. I was like, okay, great. So we're 10 cigarettes in, and she looks at me and goes, I have to throw up, and runs. And she was like, this is over. We have to call Pet. I was like,
yeah.
I think goofy things like that are definitely part of Jenny goes, learn my lesson. Learn my lesson.
I was like, learn my lesson today.
Learn my lesson.
Nice. Above and beyond, but maybe okay. Yeah. It's
Yeah, I love that she just really wanted that shot so bad.
For sure.
Or like on a location scouting level with Lottie, we had to film a scene in an alleyway, and luckily where we were shooting another scene in a tattoo parlor, there's an alleyway that was connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was connected to a school. Yeah. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
It's connected to a school, a high school's parking lot. So we had to be in contact on this like whole weeks-long journey of contacting the Department of New York Education, all this different stuff.
Permission.
And finally, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the school. I'm gonna go to the school and be fucking nice.
Right.
TM, and then like go over there. And I went to this like high school on the Lower East Side and just chatted. And they're like, "Who are you? What's happening?" And then I just like talked to the principal and just became friendies with the nice principal, and then we figured it out. And it was just like you have to do so much on an indie level of playing around
without
with
doubt.
but then I became friends with like a bunch of people from that school, and now I feel like I know all
Now
of
if I ever need to shoot a high school scene, maybe I'll
yeah, and I know the janitors at this random high
That's
school on
great.
the side. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Indie filmmaking. You can't be afraid to talk, and you can't be afraid to ask. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen if you're stuck in a process of you need permits and permission and this and that? No, just go ask. Just say, hey man, can we just film here? This is what we're doing. You know, what's the
and they'll
worst that
probably
can
be
happen?
like, I guess.
Sure, yeah,
I
I
guess,
guess.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, yeah, yeah. I love that. Okay, this one probably uplifting. I don't know about happy, sad, but uplifting. I think maybe if y'all could go back and tell your 10-year-old selves something, what would it be?
Aw.
I feel like I've been thinking about this question a lot recently with a project I'm working on for next month, which is about kind of returning back to your inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much kind of the spirit of what we've been talking about in the first place. I think if I talked to my 10-year-old self, I would be like, don't like just really anytime I would be like, for the rest of your life, there's going to be this shadow version of yourself, your inner saboteur, your whatever it is, and they're going to tell you some really nasty things about yourself, and they're going to say some really mean stuff, and you're going to believe it. And please, please, every time, instead of being mean to them back, instead of screaming at them, instead of trying to push them away, give them the biggest, tightest hug and tell them to go home. Like,
Yes.
tell them. And I've been saying to Allie, I was like, I've been working on some writing stuff, and she's like, how's it going? And I'm like, my inner saboteur, my perfectionism is coming out to play today, and I am lovingly murdering her and throwing her in a wood chipper, Fargo style. Like, that's
Love
what's
it.
happening.
Love it.
And like, I think that's what I would tell my baby Jen. I would tell her that, because the second I started doing that, the more and more we were able to make these stories, and I could see every time the less I leaned on that part of myself and the more I leaned on the brightness, I was able to like
Yep.
make the work happen and actually have these creative projects be finished and done and shared.
Mm.
There you
What
go.
about B?
I think this is a very emotional question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, we do call it the Barbara Walters. Well, we want to make you cry. No.
We're so good at crying.
Yeah.
I cry all the time.
On the one hand, I think I would look at my 10-year-old self and let her know that as of 31 years old, I am the closest I've ever been to everything we ever dreamed of. But that came with releasing a lot of my expectations. I think I thought until 5 minutes ago, all I ever wanted to be was an actor. And the more and more I opened myself up to opportunities that were not just acting, I realized that no, I wanted to be an artist. And I'm fulfilled by so much more than just acting. And I haven't acted in years, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my career. And I think especially the more opportunities I take and took throughout my 20s of those PA jobs, those AD jobs, lighting design. I think it was a huge part of me learning who I am in this industry. It brought me to where I really wanted to be. And so I think don't limit yourself is what I would tell her. Don't do that, because you're so capable. And that's crazy for me to be like saying that right now, because like I don't even know about that.
Yeah.
I'm so capable.
You are so
I love that. I love it. Both answers. Just love it,
Well, I mean, the vibes are there because as we were going through this interview and just, I can read people. I like to watch how people tick and all of those things. Allie, I can tell you cannot take a compliment, but trust me, you are going to do amazing things in your career. I can already tell you're very motivated, just like Ginny with your GCU. I love that. I think both of you are going to do absolutely amazing. So please, please, please know you always have our support. We are always here to help in any way we can, promoting on social media, donating, doing anything we can. Of course, we're here for that. But our final question, I want to have it be a little bit lighter note because we've gone through the mountains, we've gone through the valleys, and let's come out on the other side to look at the beautiful sunset over the ocean. If you could live in any film or television show, what film or television show would it be? I know this is a hard one.
What would you say, B?
Oh, mine's so toxic, but it's not. But I don't want it to be. I would want it to not be. I would be the non-toxic version of Almost Famous.
Oh, I love
nice.
that.
Nice.
I love rock and roll. I love that. The first thing that came to my head, and I don't know if this would be my final answer, but I'll go with the first thing that came to my head. I'd love to live in an animated universe. And
yeah.
I think y'all know the show Tuca and Birdie.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would because I love if you all have read or seen any of my stuff, I love a magical realism universe, like half fantasy, half grounded in reality universe. And I feel like living in an animated world with a lot of different things would be really fun to be able to express yourself in a bunch of different ways. And I just think it's a cute little show.
Yeah.
Very and very original storytelling.
What's yours?
Oh no!
God!
Shit. This has never happened. Okay,
Yeah,
we've never had a flip squid.
What?
It's very weird on the interview side. I'm like, we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Please tell us what your thoughts are.
Hey,
Logan, you can go first. I have way too many that I don't even know.
Well, it's sad because like all of my favorite films are like hardcore dramas where they're like super like kind of fucked up. Like my favorite film is Sleepers, and it's about these boys who get molested as children at a boys' home, and then in their adult years they are able to get back at their abusers. So I love that story.
A revenge story.
Yeah, I love the revenge story. But honestly, right now, since it's on the wall, probably this Saturday night. I love that film. It was such an amazing film. I feel like, Dustin and myself, we thrive in chaos and we're able to overcome anything and just get something out there. And I think, that we try to not have it be so chaotic, but we thrive in chaos. So yeah, I would say probably Saturday night.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna go animated just because you brought up the animated world. I'd like to live in Looney Tunes and help Coyote once and for all beat that damn bird, right? Like, Roadrunner doesn't have to win every time, okay? We can outsmart that damn thing.
Like you build like a little hammock so when he falls off of
yes,
absolutely.
I feel like somebody's got to give Coyote a helping hand, man. It's like, oh, come on, man. So
he deserves it.
Because otherwise I can't go your way, Logan. I'm like, do I go into American Psycho? Do I do like,
know
there's
all the
so many,
like,
but we'll stick with Looney Tunes. Let's go Looney Tunes.
There we go.
So fun. I'm glad. Thank y'all for sharing. That was very
good. Of course. Thank y'all for coming on. And open invite. Anytime y'all want to come back on, please feel free. We also have a mental health podcast called Everything's Okay. So feel free to ever come on there. We call it our bi-weekly therapy session because we like to get all of the things.
It's where we discuss why we chose Sleepers in American Psycho. No.
Yeah.
Like, let's unpack that,
Oh, well, listen, this is promotional time. Promote anything that you would like to.
Okay. Well, our very next thing is Ginny's solo performance show, Cabaret.
Yes.
At Dear Mama on 129th Street in Harlem on April 20th.
Yes. So Easter Sunday night, April 20th, also known as 420, also known as the day before my birthday. I'm going to be hosting a slumber party cabaret. That will be a storytelling series to celebrate my 27th birthday, which is my Saturn's return. So it'll be a fun confrontation of my sweet inner child, how I got to where I'm at now, and how I can bring that to my artistry. We're going to be doing it as a baby fundraiser for Mochi as we prepare, and we close up our first 2 films, hopefully reaching some film festival circuits within the next season or so.
Fantastic.
As we finish up post.
That dreaded post. Yeah.
That dreaded post. I know. But if you come and play dress up with us, then all of the proceeds will be going towards our next film, which we are so excited to be filming next year.
Yes.
Nice.
I love it. And we are in the day and age of social media. So where can people follow you?
Be Nice Productions on Instagram, or you can find me, Allison's the Bomb. And that's where we post all of our projects and celebratory
Yeah. And
shows and things.
Yeah, exactly. My personal, you can follow me on Jen on the House on Instagram, but Be Nice Productions is BEE Nice Productions.
Yeah.
We call each other B, and that's where it came from.
Lucky.
And I don't know, we just want everybody to be fucking nice because that's what we need right now. So
I love
That's it.
I love it.
So good, so good. Well, listen, thank you again so much. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon.
right, wonderful. Thanks, y'all. Have a wonderful day.
Man, oh my goodness. Talk about motivated, man. Every time we talk to other filmmakers, especially behind the scenes people, we just get ready to go.
I mean, it was such I don't even know how to describe that conversation. It was like we were almost talking to ourselves. And
Right.
and yet it was just, I don't know, I absolutely love their approach. I love the art that they're producing and creating. I love their approach about helping others, providing
Yes.
a platform for others to share their voices and their stories, and just talk about two young women that are doing everything right and seeing it come back, right? We always talk about is what you put out in the universe, you're going to get back.
All right, now it is time for our top 5 segment, man. And oh my goodness, we teased a little bit of it last week, and man, it was as difficult as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, this week it is top 5 greatest actors of all time, in our opinion. And man, oh man. So my approach to this list was the amount of films that I have seen from these people. So I felt like I couldn't do it justice to put a Marlon Brando on there. So not on my list. Snub, if for y'all out there. Marlon Brando was snubbed on my top 5 list. But I just haven't seen enough of his films other than, honestly, Godfather. I don't know if I've ever seen any other Marlon Brando film. And I know I need to deep dive into more of his films. But and I mean, there was a couple of others. Like I also didn't put Al Pacino on the list at all. And again, I haven't seen a lot of Al Pacino films, so I know. I'm sorry.
No. So I kind of went not exactly that approach, but I knew you would be less likely to go old school, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to give you time, because I think we at some point we should. So I kind of kept mine modern, last 50 years, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to put a Buster Keaton, a Charlie Chaplin, a Orson Welles, you know, a Marlon Brando, but I felt like, that would be drastic differences in what. So I said, let's go, for me, the past 50 years or so, and try to blend a little bit older with a little bit more current. And like you said, ones that I've seen either all or majority of their films. And so that's where I've kind of went with it as well. But at one point, we are going to do Golden Age Hollywood actors, to where you're going to you're going to have to give me a list, my man. You're going to have to give me a list.
I really am. That's for sure. Well, number 5 for me goes to Samuel L. Jackson. Motherfucker. Oh, this guy. I feel like, the amount of work and effort that he puts into his career that I feel like not a lot of people even realize is astonishing, to be honest, because I feel like what he does with the roles that he is given is take those roles, make them his own, and then also deliver something that no one thought that he would deliver. Because honestly, every time you see Samuel L. Jackson in a role, you're expecting some fun, you're expecting some action, you're expecting some witty dialogue, and it's all of that and so much more. And what he is able to deliver in the past decade, 3 decades, 4 decades that he's been around in the entertainment industry has been so freaking special, and he definitely deserves everything that he has coming to him. But I just, he's not in the conversation of one of the best actors of all time enough, so that's why I wanted to put him on the list. So number 5 for me, Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, Yeah, agree with everything you just said. I mean, the guy is brilliant and should be on the list. I could preface my number 5 with that exact statement. He's not nearly in the conversation enough as one of the best actors, but anybody who listens to this podcast or follows me on social media knows he had to be on my list. My number 5 is John Bernthal. This man, I challenge you. Find a single thing that this man has done that you don't like. This guy absolutely kills it in every single performance that he has ever given, television or film. He steals the scenes of everything that he's in. But what I really enjoy is that he takes risks. Bernthal's a pretty scary looking guy, but he's actually one of the nicest human beings ever. And he does comedy. He's got some comedy stuff out there that if you guys haven't seen it, you should totally find it, because he's as epic in comedy as he is scary and terrifying in drama and action. But I like that he takes risks. But the one thing that I really, really like about John Bernthal, why he's on my list and why I think he's such a phenomenal actor the way that he has no, let me say that again, no ego at all. This man will take a walk-on role, a supporting role, a lead role, guest star, doesn't matter. He goes for the roles that he likes, that he thinks he can do something with. It's not about for him leading man status or reputation, or it's, do I like the story? Can I get behind the character? Do I think I can add something to it? And when you approach your craft like that, you are always going to be great at it. And you just go back and you look at his filmography and you can see that. The stuff that he's been in, everything from lead to walk on and everything in between, and he's brilliant. My number 5, John Bernthal. Please, John, come on the show. Please.
Please. I mean, such
oh my
a great
God.
freaking
And his
pick.
podcast is awesome. If you guys haven't checked out his podcast, he's even a great podcast host. Like, fuck.
He is, yes. Check out the real ones, man. Check out the
Yes.
real ones. The one with Shia LaBeouf and the one with Pete Davidson. Some of my favorite conversations.
And Deborah Ann Wall. When
Yeah.
they dive deep into Dungeons and Dragons, his intent on trying to learn Dungeons and Dragons from Deborah Ann Wall, one of the most priceless things I have ever seen in my life.
Right. That's so great. Well, number 4 for me is my favorite actor of all time. So it's kind of crazy that he's not higher, but I had to, come to grips with the fact that there's a whole bunch of other people that deserve to be on the list.
Yes.
And I'm talking about Leonardo DiCaprio. Perfect timing, too, because we did just see the release of the trailer of his upcoming Paul Anderson film. Is that what it is? So I'm very excited about it because that film looks very interesting and very different, kind of like spy espionage / comedy, which I think is kind of fun. But this guy, he transforms every single time into the character that he is playing. And what he does is so special, and just the way that he approaches each role, he's like method mixed with not. Like, it's a very interesting procedure that he goes through, and I definitely feel like, a lot of that comes from being birthed into the entertainment industry. This man has been in Hollywood since he was like teeny tiny, like 11 or 12, maybe even younger.
Yeah.
So I just, everything that he does, I'm gonna go see and support. So yes, number 4 for me, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
Yeah.
Got his start on Growing Pains.
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. Right there with Brad Pitt. What? All right. My number 4, I'm just going to say this. My number 4 would maybe be my number 1 had we not lost him tragically. I will say that. My number 4 is Robin Williams. And I know that initially people think Robin Williams and you jump to comedy right away. Mrs. Doubtfire, Mork and Mindy, just whatever, right? And rightfully so. He was a brilliant comedian. And his comedic roles in Too Many Films to Count were always outstanding. I don't really think he had a miss. I mean, you look at Jumanji, you just look at the filmography, he didn't. But this man was a Juilliard-trained actor and was phenomenal, and in my opinion, an even better dramatic actor than he was comedic actor. And you can look at so many, Dead Poets Society to Good Will Hunting to some of his creepy horror stuff that he did. He was brilliant on the dramatic side, the suspense side, and I don't think he got nearly enough credit for that. I mean, sure, Mork and Mindy was great, Mrs. Doubtfire, you know, even Jumanji, but do you ever, other than Good Morning Vietnam, which obviously was quoted a lot, good morning, how often do you hear the comedic stuff quoted? But you hear all the time, Captain My Cat, you know, like from Dead Poet Society or Good Will Hunting, you hear lines from his dramatic stuff so far more often than, and he won his Oscar for dramatic roles. So think about that. I just don't think he was nearly in the conversation enough for his dramatic work. He was certainly recognized by his peers as a great actor, but I think he needed to be recognized more for his dramatic roles as opposed to his... And don't get me wrong, I first saw him as Mork on Mork and Mindy and Happy Days because I'm old as shit. So I remember that. And I watched his whole career. But yeah, Robin Williams, my number 4, brilliant dramatic actor.
No, completely agree, man. Completely agree. It's still a tough one.
It's so hard to think about that loss.
My third one is also a tough one because this is very recent, and I have, like, over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been getting super into his films, and oh my gosh, he is so good at what he does. I'm talking about Gene Hackman. Man, whew. Obviously, I'm from Indiana. Hoosiers is a big film for me. Yeah. And obviously he is the coach in Hoosiers. But I just recently watched like Mississippi Burning. A couple years ago, you and I sat down and watched Unforgiven. And I was like, this isn't even Clint Eastwood's movie. It's Gene Hackman's movie. What are we talking about? But like, and like, it's on my list to go back and watch The French Connection. I am so super excited to do that here soon. But everything that I've seen Gene Hackman in is phenomenal. It's top tier acting, top tier cinema. And I feel like, you know, he's not the stereotypical, hot stud, good
leading man kind of guy, right?
No, he is just a phenomenal freaking actor that brings like this aura. I can't even describe like the presence that he brings when he comes to his characters, but it's something special, and it's something that not a lot of actors have. And so that's why it's always so hard now to talk about his work and his career and his passing. But yeah, number 3 for me, man, Gene Hackman. I'm super excited to go on the journey to continue to watch his films.
I mean, I've seen almost every one of his films, and I mean, come on, anybody who knows, I mean, he was one of the stars of my movie that made me want to be a filmmaker, the OG True. Lex Luthor. You know, it's probably the first time I saw him, and then followed his career, and then started going back and watching stuff pre-Superman. And yeah, this man is absolutely one of the greatest actors of all time. Totally agree with you. My number 3 could have been number 1, but I wanted, because I did try to keep some balance where there's a little bit older people that I've watched for longer than I have Denzel. So my number 3, Denzel Washington, but make no mistake, he could be at the top of the list if I wasn't trying to include a few older people. But obviously, I mean, Denzel Washington, hello, another one that takes risks with roles. He pulls off the comedic stuff. He pulls off the dramatic stuff. He pulls off the action stuff. He's believable in every single role. You know, whether he's playing, you know, a Roman god, or whether he's playing a Civil War soldier, or whether he's a coach on the gridiron at high school. Everything the man steps into, you buy. And if that's not the sign of one of the greatest actors, I don't know what is. I mean, I have a handful of performances from him that are truly at the list of some of my all-time favorites. Obviously, remember the Titans, Training Day, Fences. There's just so many. But yeah, I mean, my number 3, Denzel Washington. Duh.
Great pick, man. Great pick. It leads us to our second, both of our second. And I
Yes.
mean, this guy, is like, he's right there. He's right there. And he's an amazing, I think he's America's dad now. And we're talking about Tom Hanks. I think everything that he does is gold. He's the golden man of Hollywood. I feel like everybody loves Tom Hanks. There's never a bad thing to say about him.
No.
And I think everything that he's in is going to garner the much necessary attention. That's for sure. But one of the films that I haven't seen of his is the Da Vinci Code. I want to go back and watch the Da Vinci Code and then watch Angels and Demons or something like that, the sequel to it. I'm very excited about that because I love like the Illuminati theories and things like that. So I definitely want to go back and watch those.
Well, yes. And this is another guy that I'm old. So I remember him way back making guest appearances on Happy Days. And of course, what launched him to stardom was Bosom Buddies, which is amazing because it lasted like 2 seasons and barely 2 seasons, but it catapulted him into rocket fame. Initially comedy. And yet, here's another guy. He's probably parallel with Robin Williams in the sense that he's a brilliant comedian, but in my opinion, more so dramatic actor. This is a guy who can bring it on every level. Somewhat action star. I mean, he can get in a tussle here or there. I wouldn't say massive action star, but he's been known to get in a tussle here or there, so you can't say he doesn't do some action stuff. But I mean, obviously, if you look at Splash and how Bachelor Party and The Money Pit and, everything that he did with Meg Ryan, like, the guy can bring comedy, but then you have to look at Castaway and all of these dramatic roles, Philadelphia. And Forrest Gump, which was a nice blend of both. I mean, the guy can bring it. I just one of those rare people that can do it all and does and takes risks. It takes a lot of guts, I think, to go from a Philadelphia to a Forrest Gump, to Apollo 13, to jumping all these different types of I think what makes all of these people on our list great is their willingness to take risks. And Tom Hanks does that.
Yes, every time, man. Every freaking time. I love it. Well, number 1 for my list was on your list, and oh my goodness, I think he's the best actor of this generation and the generation before it, just because he is so damn good at everything he does, and he's such like a thespian. He loves his stage work. I mean, Othello just came out with him and Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm of course talking about Denzel Washington as well. Oh my gosh, I think what really nailed the nail into the coffin, hammered the nail into the coffin, was probably Philadelphia and Malcolm X. Those 2 films were so freaking outstanding to where like it starts conversations, and that's what we want to do as filmmakers. They start conversations and they continue to make you think about the society we live in and how we can do what we can to better ourselves, to better society, to better the next generation. And I think a lot of his films that he is in, he does amazing work at trying to do that and to start conversations. But I also love the Training Days, the Two Guns with Mark Wahlberg.
Without doubt. Yeah.
Freaking, this guy is absolutely amazing, and I had to. So yeah, number 1 for me, Denzel Washington.
Well, hard to argue.
Of course.
Like I said, I had him on my list, and could have been number 1. My number 1, I think anybody that's my age or near my age would probably have this guy as their number one. And rightfully so. I've seen almost every single movie that this man has ever done, going way back to Easy Rider, and taking it all the way through to, you know, some of his last stuff with Adam Sandler and As Good as It Gets. And, you know, he's been out of it for a little bit now. But, I'm, of course, talking about Jack Nicholson. This is another man who you don't think, when you say Jack Nicholson, you don't think comedy. But if you look back over the years, he had quite a few comedic roles that were hilarious. The guy was actually really funny in a bunch of comedic films that he pulled off really well. But when you talk dramatic actor, you talk psychopath, some guy that can put chills down your spine and terrify you. Jack Nicholson is the guy. He's the guy you would cross the street and try to avoid when you're walking past him, right? You look at One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You look at Chinatown. You look at The Shining, Joker in Batman. Witches of Eastwick, where he literally plays Satan. There are so many things that where this man was absolutely terrifying. But just brilliant dramatic actor. And again, I think what separates him, along with everybody else on both of our lists, is his willingness to take risks. Sometimes they work, sometimes they didn't. But these actors can all take those risks and recover from a miss. Some actors cannot. It kills their careers. All of these guys can take a risk, have a miss, and come right back. And I feel like every one of them on our list did. So, you know, but I mean, it's hard to argue. Like I said, Jack Nicholson, if you look back over his filmography, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that you don't like. Even the ones that weren't very good, you kind of like. I mean, it's like, I didn't want to like, I think it was called Wolf with Michelle Pfeiffer, where he plays like a whale. But I kind of still watch it when it's on. It's because it's Jack, you know, and it's like, okay. And of course you have your favorites, A Few Good Men. Like, I mean, you know, Chinatown. Anytime there's certain ones that I see, I will stop and watch because they're that good. But yeah, my number one had to be Jack Nicholson. Man, I wish he'd just do one more. Just one more, Jack. Give me one more, Jack. Come on.
That's great freaking list, man. It's so difficult to try to narrow down all the amazing talent that is in Hollywood, and you know, the up and coming talent as well. Maybe that'll be next week. Top 5 up and coming talents in Hollywood.
Up and coming or just young. Like, there was one that I really wanted to put on this list, but then I was like, Bernthal I'm talking about Ed Norton, who, holy shit. Just watch Primal Fear. I mean, come on. I don't know. We'll have several acting lists because there's so many we could do.
For sure, man. For sure. Well, we want to know, who do you think is the best actor of all time? Please be sure to comment down below and let us know in the YouTube comment sections, X, Threads, Twitter, all the good things. Please be sure to do so. Well, we're jumping over to the box office recap, and let's talk about it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Okay. Snow White did come in at number 1, but it did come in under the freaking predictions, under what we thought we were going to get for it. So Snow White, like I said, number 1 with $43 million. Still nothing to scratch at, but still probably it's one of the worst reviewed movies of all time. It's really not that bad. Like, I gave it like a 2 or a 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's really not the worst thing ever. Like, we've seen some really bad shit. Like Orson Welles' last film, that's really bad. That was really out there. But freaking this, it's not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. You can get through it. You're never gonna watch it again, but you can get through it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I know on IMDb, like I said, it's like 1.6 rating or whatever.
Sure.
Number 1, Snow White with $43 million. Number 2 was Black Bag with $4.4 million. Number 3 was Captain America: Brave New World, still plugging along.
I am loving it. I remember I predicted last week that I thought it would fall out of the top 5, and yet there it is at 3. And it's still hanging in there, which is really good for my draft. I'm, it might not get as much as I thought it was, but it's hanging and it's making a decent amount. And I really think it could be the difference maker, maybe, in our totals at the end, where it just lingers, and I think maybe it's got one more week. It might not be in the top 5 next week, but I think it's got maybe 1 or 2 more weeks in theaters before they dump it. So we'll see. But yeah, I was thrilled to see it at number 3.
Right. Number 4 was Mickey 17 with $3.9 million. And number 5 was Novocaine with $3.8 million.
Yes.
And then, of course, new movies coming out this week. Woman in the Yard.
Which looks
A
creepy.
Working Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Death of a Unicorn, Robin Hood, and The Penguin Lessons. And then, of course, movies you can still go see in select theaters near you. Magazine Dreams, which is apparently finally out. The Jonathan Majors film that was shelved, not shelved anymore.
Yep.
Dogman, One of Them Days, Mufasa the Lion King, and The Monkey.
Yep.
So be sure, I'm pretty sure the last 2 you can see on streaming services now.
Already, yeah. And maybe Dogman, too. I thought maybe Dogman had already made its debut, too. But this is the new trend. You can see them in the theater or watch them on a streamer now. It's like, this is how we are now. Like...
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, of course, the top trending segment for IMDb Pro. Oh, my goodness. Well, the top trending movie is The Electric State. The top trending show is Adolescence. And the top trending star is Stephen Graham.
Yes.
So there it is.
The Electric State, that's the Russo brothers one. So I'm not surprised because they're getting a lot of publicity, obviously, lately. Adolescence, I've heard some really great stuff about it. Apparently, it's like a really intense, whoa show, but I haven't jumped on it yet. So we'll see.
We'll see, man. We'll see. But we got to thank our guests one more time. Allison and Ginny, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. It really means a lot to us. Be sure to follow them both, of course, on their respected accounts, but be sure to follow Be Nice Productions, BEE Nice Productions on Instagram. That's for sure. And then, of course, you can follow us on social media. The company is at Crazy Ant Media. This podcast is at ITCAFpodcast. Our mental health podcast is coming back next week, bigger than ever. So be sure to stay tuned for that. That's at Everything's OKP. And then both of us personally, of course. Myself at J. Logan Austin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right, man. And you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. If you're watching this video on YouTube, we really freaking appreciate it, man. We try. We really try. So to put this out there and people actually watch the video is freaking amazing. But be sure to hit the like button on the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And then, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear, where we have a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone.
Yes.
That's for sure. But great freaking episode, man. I mean, of course, our interview was amazing. But getting into the nitty-gritty that is the MCU, these past couple weeks have been huge for Marvel and the casting announcements. And I'm super excited. It's a rumor right now. No official confirmation, I don't think. You might be more on top of it than I am. But the Chameleon as Spider-Man's villain?
Yeah, I saw that.
That'd be interesting.
It would be really interesting. I would like that. I also saw, and I think this is due to the fact that Captain America: Brave New World, although I really liked the movie, I didn't think it was bad, and it's clearly still doing pretty good. But remember, there was a lot of back and forth, and they had to do some reshoots, and then they went in a different direction with the... Well, Feige basically came out this week and said he's literally on set and will be hands-on every single day for Avengers Doomsday to make sure that the ship is straight and it's going to be what people expect from Marvel. Which, if you look at Daredevil, which he went in hands-on when they decided to make the revamp, right? Clearly that was effective. So, I mean, I feel like him, the Russo brothers, and they're gonna make sure this ship stays straight, and I'm so excited. I'm with you. I think it's finally gotten over that hump. Haters gonna hate, but I think the true fans have realized it's over that little hump, and they're coming back full force, man. They're coming back full force. Love it.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. And we have an exclusive announcement because we also have another announcement for freaking Marvel and Avengers Doomsday. Oh, the huge villain.
Yes.
You thought it was Dr. Doom, but no. It's the one. It's the only Oprah!